As the world changes, we need to adapt and develop new ships and aircraft, like Sea Lion 2, to meet the demands of the Navy mission. Petty Officer David Michael Ross will take us back to the roots and foundation of the surface Navy, and then take us forward to catch a glimpse of what is to come.
With the end of the American Revolution, and Britain no longer posing a threat, the U.S. Navy all but vanished in 1783.
But we have our sea lanes. We're doing trade with various nations across the world. And there are various factions like the Barbary pirates that are interfering with our trade, are battling our merchantmen. We need a navy now.
A small but effective navy of 6 frigate ships is formed in 1797. Amongst the new ships was the USS Constitution.
And literally, it would have cannons bounce off it. It was that strong. So that's why Constitution gets her nickname Old Ironsides.
A seminal period in naval surface history began after geostrategist Alfred Mahan produced his book, The Influence of Sea Power Upon History, in 1890.
It is Mahan's book that emphasized the fact that we need to be strong not only in our coast defense, but in our power projection around the world. One of Mahan's adherents, Theodore Roosevelt, was Assistant Secretary of the Navy at about the time of the Spanish-American War. Roosevelt had seen how successful the Navy had been during that war, and later, when he became president, decided that he was going to build a new Navy, a stronger Navy, which is called the Great White Fleet. The Great White Fleet is the first time that the United States asserts itself on the world scene.
Roosevelt becomes an advocate of a canal to be built across the Isthmus of Panama.
With the success of the fleet and the need for the fleet to be able to protect either the Atlantic or the Pacific coasts, Roosevelt was able to get the canal built. This would be vital to the defense of the United States.
From the turn of the century to World War II, naval planners looked upon naval battles as being a major action between lines of battleships.
Both lines of battleships came together 10 to 15 miles apart. From that point on, the two sides would duke it out, and whichever side lost the least would eventually win the battle. After World War I, a new type of ship was added to this mix, the aircraft carrier.
The mission of the aircraft carriers was to protect the battleships.
But the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor on December 7, 1941, changes this completely. The battle line, the battle fleet of the United States fleet, is either sunk or incapacitated during the attack. But the aircraft carriers survive. Later on, through the Battle of Coral Sea, and later on from that, the Battle of Midway, the Americans are forced to use their aircraft carriers as the major capital warship.
Many have speculated whether or not the aircraft carrier is to remain the Navy's capital ship.
I would say the naval picture is changing very rapidly today, and it would be foolish to predict what the capital ship will be in 5 years or 10 years. The littoral combat ship, when she becomes operational, will be important because it lets us have more ships that we can put inland in the context of coastal and regional operations.
Along with the littoral combat ship, the Navy has under development several radically different types of warships. The CVN-21 will take over for the Nimitz class as the new supercarrier. It will provide significant improvements in warfighting capabilities. The mission of the DDG-1000, our land attack destroyer, is extended range precision fire support for land forces.
Capital ships change. We've gone down to 11 carriers. We're going down to 10 in a couple of years. I wouldn't be surprised if the number a decade from now is 8 or 9. To my own mind, as important as the large deck carriers, the large nuclear-powered CVNs, increasingly will be the LHA, LHD large amphibious ships. Why? Because the Joint Strike Fighter, which will be a first-rate aircraft, will be able to fly from those ships.
There's an old expression, the only constant is change. That is especially true for the U.S. Navy, as surface ships are being called on to play new roles.
But in this context, certain things remain the same. The fact that commercial trade goes by the sea, the fact that the war on terrorism is going to be with us for a long time, the fact that we cannot easily put ground troops in other countries and maintain them there, in my opinion, for as long as one can see into the future, navies with Marine Corps, with Special Operations Forces, will be the service of choice for the United States.
Whatever changes are in store for the future surface Navy, one constant will remain. For the Naval Media Center, I'm Petty Officer David Michael Ross.